Everybody likes to take a walk on the beach on a sunny day. It's a fun way to relax, feel the sand beneath your feet and the wind in your hair. Many of us like to pick up a pebble or two to take home with us as a souvenir. Sometimes, though, you'll come across something far more interesting than a pebble on the sand, as all the people who feature in today's video discovered to their amazement. If you went down to the beach to clear your head and look for inspiration, you'd probably take this discovery as a sign from God. South Florida man Greg Gay was out for his morning walk when he stumbled across an enormous Christian cross, drenched and coated in barnacles, washed up on the shore in Fort Lauderdale. The cross is 20 feet high and was quickly claimed by enthusiastic local worshippers, who dragged it along the sand to safety. It's now on display at the Ocean Manor Beach Resort, where owner Frank Tallarico believes that it brings his family protection. His sister had been suffering from bad dreams and praying for relief. It would appear that this was her answer. Nobody knows where it came from, but the tide often washes objects onto the shore from as far away as Puerto Rico. Maybe there's a church there which is missing a very important ornament. Has US President Donald Trump been for a swim and come out of the water bald? Or is this a mysterious sea creature of a kind we've never seen before? The blobby yellow mass, which has an undeniable resemblance to the president's hair, was washed up at Duras Beach in Australia in January 2019. The member of the public who found it took a picture and sent it to the Sapphire Coast Marine Discovery Center, hoping they could shed some light on what it might be. But they were stumped. Theories range from a mass of eggs to a part of a wounded jellyfish. The most popular belief is that it's the bell of a jellyfish species known as a jelly blubber, which are commonly sighted off the coast of Australia. If it is Donald's, though, at least he knows where to go to get it back. Sticking with the theme of strange fish washing up on the beach, check out this huge 7-foot specimen, which was found on the California coast by ecologist Jessica Nielsen. She'd never seen anything like it before, and neither had any of her colleagues. In trying to identify it, they turned to the internet for help, and were surprised to find that it was actually a very well-known species. It was just on the wrong side of the world. This is a hoodwinker sunfish, known for the unique facial features and round, flat bodies. American experts didn't recognize it because they're only known to exist in the southern hemisphere, especially in and around Australia and South Africa. Nobody knows how it managed to travel all the way to California. Perhaps it was on vacation. Speaking of things turning up in places where they don't seem to have any business, how is it possible that a full-sized missile can wind up washed ashore on a Scottish island? A man out walking his dog in the Outer Hebrides was stunned when he spotted the 13-foot-long missile and made sure he kept his distance when he snapped his first few photographs of it. On closer inspection, it had Mirac 105 etched onto the side of its casing, which indicates that it's probably been used in weapons training. The device is a target drone, manufactured by the Leonardo Company in Italy. We've heard of people losing their drones through careless flying before, but managing to accidentally land one on a remote part of the Scottish Highlands is next-level stuff. So far, nobody's owned up to losing it. Every fisherman heads out onto the water dreaming of a big catch, but this isn't exactly what Tran Minh Tan had in mind. The Thai fisherman was minding his own business when this 22-foot-long torpedo got caught in his nets. Terrified that it was about to explode, he dragged it 4 miles to the beach and then called in the experts. From the Chinese markings on its side, they quickly identified it as a U-6 model, belonging to the People's Liberation Army of China. He needn't have worried about it exploding. The orange section where the warhead would usually sit is an indicator that it's a test torpedo rather than a live piece of ammunition. As the entire South China Sea is currently a thorny political issue, military training exercises happen regularly in the area. This torpedo, which is believed to be modeled on the American Mk-48, may not be the only lost weapon floating around out there. If you saw one novelty phone modeled on the fictional cat Garfield washed up on a beach, you'd probably think it was pretty weird. When dozens of them wash up there each year, you start to accept it as normal. The locals of Brittany and France barely bat an eyelid when the latest batch of Garfield phones lands on the shore. But to tourists and newcomers to the area, it's a surprising sight. The 15 miles of shoreline provide plenty of space for the objects to float into, and they're often so well preserved that their casing is totally undamaged, although the electrical components are beyond use. It's believed that they fell from a container ship during the 1980s, and so thousands of the phones entered the water. They've been seen in Brittany consistently now for over 18 years. When American pilot Lieutenant Robert Elliott crashed his plane into the Welsh coast while performing a training exercise during 1942, he was grateful that he'd survived and was able to walk away. The last thing on his mind was what kind of condition his plane was in, and by the time anyone thought to come and look for it, it was gone. It then stayed missing for over 70 years, but now it's been found. The Lockheed P-38, nicknamed the Maid of Harlech, was revealed as the tide shifted the sand on Gwynedd Coast and uncovered the plane that had been hiding there for the whole time. The International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery is now raising funds with the intention of transporting it to a museum. The sea and the sand have done a remarkable job of preserving this long-lost lightning. Now it's time for the experts to take over. If you drop a camera at the bottom of the ocean, you probably assume that it's gone forever. Thanks to the wonders of the ride and the generosity of the people, though, you can never say for sure. A Japanese student dropped her camera during a scuba trip to Ishigaki Island in 2015 and watched helplessly as it sank to the bottom of the sea. 2 years later, it turned up on a Taiwanese beach, completely covered in barnacles and almost looking like a rock. An 11-year-old boy on a school field trip found it and presented it to teacher Park Lee. He opened the case and was amazed to find not a single drop of water had got into it. Even more amazingly, the battery still had a partial charge and the camera turned on. They posted some of the saved pictures on the school's social media account, and a day later, its stunned true owner, Serena Tsubakihara, came forward to claim it. She now plans to travel to Taiwan to collect her lost treasure and thank the children in person. The beach of Melbourne in Australia is well known for being full of ancient fossils. So much so that it has a region called Dinosaur Cove. Even by the standards of Dinosaur Cove, though, what school teacher Philip Mullally found while out fossil hunting is remarkable. What at first glance he thought was a shiny knife blade was actually the tooth of a prehistoric giant shark. It's not surprising that he thought it was a knife blade. The teeth of the colossal shark were so serrated that they'd have cut like a steak knife. The species, known as Carcharocles angustidens, are understood to have been over 20 feet long when fully grown, and existed over 23 million years ago. This remains of this ancient ancestor of the great white shark have previously been found in France and America, but never before in Australia. There were over 40 teeth here in total, all of which probably once sat in the same terrifying mouth. These sharks were so big that it's believed that they hunted whales. Even if it goes against all your natural instincts, if you come across a sticky, smelly lump of yellowish gray rock on the beach one day, you should probably hold your nose, pick it up, and take it home. British couple Gary and Angela Williams were taking an evening stroll on a beach near their home in Lancashire when they came across this 4-pound clump of whale vomit, which is also known as ambergris. Fortunately, Gary knew what he was looking at and picked it up to take home. Ambergris helps the scent of perfume to stay in place for longer, and so is highly prized by the beauty industry. Now you know that when you're spraying perfume onto yourself, you're getting a little bit of whale sick into the bargain. The couple is hoping to pocket around $70,000 for their lucky find. The first thing that's surprising when you see this image from Long Beach on America's Washington coast is that it's not of a toy snake buried in the sand. It's of a real creature. The second surprising thing is that the creature is still alive. Despite being almost completely buried in the sand, the Pacific snake eel survived being dug out by workers from a nearby aquarium, and they were able to transport it back to the aquarium for rest and rehabilitation. It's just a shame that it can't talk. If it could, it might be able to tell them how it got there. Pacific snake eels much prefer the climate of the southern hemisphere to the north, and you can mostly find them swimming around the waters of their native Peru. The best guess of the specialists who are treating the eel is that it got washed onto the sand during a heavy storm and was unable to free itself. Fortunately, the people who found it immediately realized what it was and were able to help it before it was too late. When Melissa Doubleday came across this bizarre sight on the beach in New Zealand, she asked the same question any one of us would. What on earth is that? Melissa posed the question to Twitter and received hundreds of responses. Nobody seems to be certain of the right one, though. If you look at it from one angle, it looks like a living sea creature with blonde dreadlocks. If you look at it from another, it might just be a well-decorated lump of driftwood. As it was found on the Muriwai beach, it's been dubbed the Muriwai Monster, while people try to find a better way to describe it. Some people say it looks like a special beach Christmas tree. Melissa originally feared that it might be a washed-up whale before she got a closer look and noticed that it's covered in gooseneck barnacles, an especially hardy form of barnacle that makes a habit of living on hard surfaces. It's thought that whatever it is, it was thrown onto the beach after recent earthquakes out at sea off the coast of New Zealand. If it is a creature, perhaps more of its kind are on the way. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, and you will be the first to know when a new video comes out. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.